The Lions' final OTA practice is officially in the books, and today we are going to take a look at everything that the Lions did in their last day of OTAs. After forfeiting Monday's practice, they had to fit a lot of work into just a single practice period, meaning a lot of players stood out. A number of players didn't quite live up to expectations, a couple of injury updates, as well as just knowing who was in attendance and who was playing at the highest level at this point throughout the offseason. And today, we're going to take a look at all of it, starting off with the attendance for OTAs in its final days. Now, OTAs are very optional for many of the veterans on this team, so you're not going to see Jared Goff or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Frank Ragnow at these practices. These practices are primarily for the younger players to find a role, for the younger players to work with the coaching staff. And at this point in the offseason, it is an opportunity for the young players to carve a role for themselves. On the offensive side of the ball, the Detroit Lions kicked off with quarterback Hendon Hooker, the second-year player out of Tennessee, a player that a lot of fans are very excited to see for the first time this preseason, and a player that we will talk about a little bit later. Rookie fourth-round pick Sione Vaki was the only running back in attendance for the final OTA practice, while rookies Jalen Calhoun as well as Isaiah Williams were in attendance as well. Kaden Davis was the third wide receiver, joined by a pair of tight ends in Parker Heese and Sean McKeon. You have offensive tackle and rookie fourth-round pick Giovanni Manu, as well as second-year offensive tackles Colby Sorsdal and Connor Galvin. Undrafted rookie free agents Brian Hudson, Duke Clemens, Kingsley Egukan, as well as undrafted rookie free agent Matt Farniok are also in attendance for yesterday's practice. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, it's a big list of names. You have James Houston, a player going into his third season with the Detroit Lions, but coming off of a big injury from a season ago. You have second-year player Mitchell Agude. You have undrafted rookie free agents from William and Mary, Nate Lynn, as well as Isaac Ukwu from Ole Miss. You have the Canadian football Defensive Player of the Year in Matthew Betts, who's in attendance. Chris Smith, a second-year defensive tackle from a year ago who was an undrafted free agent, I believe, from Notre Dame. Sixth-round pick Mekhi Wingo, former third-round pick Broderick Martin going into his second year. You have Ben Neiman, the recently signed free agent from the Tennessee Titans, as well as Deron Gilbert. First and second-round picks Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw from the 2024 NFL draft class. You have Maurice Norris, an undrafted rookie free agent, Brandon Joseph, the second-year safety, Lauren Strickland, the undrafted rookie free agent, alongside Shellen Garnes, one being from, I believe, Bowling Green, and the other being from Wake Forest. And then you have veteran third-year player in Kirby Joseph there as well. Now, two names probably stand out on this list, that being James Houston and Kirby Joseph. And while they did get a lot of work with the first team in the plays that they were in, they were doing a lot of work with the trainer on the sideline. It was more of a recovery day for them. So while they were technically in attendance for OTAs, they did not do very much on the field work, and they left a lot of that to the younger players and the younger rookies. However, they did get a little bit of look in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, but it was limited. Now, before we get into the standouts and the stars, we do want to talk about the special teams attendance as well. Of course, the numbers and the names are going to be a little bit shorter. Michael Badgley and James Turner continue to compete for that kicking spot, while Jack Fox holds down the sole punting position, while Scott Daly and Hogan Hatton fight it out for the long snapper position. Now, getting into the role players, the big stories, and the standout players of yesterday's practice, we're going to start out with Kaden Davis. In a practice that was very heavily focused around the special teams unit, Kaden Davis was phenomenal. And for all intensive purposes, Kaden Davis is having a great OTA and a great offseason for the Detroit Lions so far. He seems to have a great chemistry with quarterback Hendon Hooker, seems to be making a lot of plays down the field. And for a practice that was very heavily focused on special teams, Kaden Davis made a name for himself when it comes to kick and punt returns. Now, of course, that role is going to be taken by Khalif Raymond, and I don't see Kaden Davis taking that role away from Khalif Raymond. However, as far as a backup goes, as far as earning that spot on the practice squad, earning that spot as a potential call-up player if Khalif Raymond does get hurt, I think Kaden Davis is making a great position and a great argument for himself to make the roster this season. And I think we're going to potentially see him kind of dethrone Maurice Alexander as that potential backup kick and punt returner role. Other than that, just a big day for a lot of the young players, a special teams heavy day. So a lot of opportunities to earn a position at gunner, a lot of opportunity to earn a position as a kickoff specialist or a tackler or a returner. And a lot of players are doing so at those positions. One player that's done that very well is Sione Vaki, the fourth-round selection from the University of Utah a season ago, or this past draft. Sione Vaki is likely going to play running back for all intensive purposes here for the Detroit Lions, and he's been great at running back. He was the only running back in attendance, which means he got a lot of work and a lot of looks in this OTA practice. In 7-on-7s, he had a big-time catch on a wheel route that Hendon Hooker placed beautifully down the sidelines, about a 20-yard gain through the air, and Sione Vaki caught it in stride for an even bigger gain after that. And then he had a little bit of work at the wide receiving position as well, working on a crossing route as a running back. And again, quarterback Hendon Hooker was able to hit him in stride for a 10 to 15-yard gain. Contact wasn't really permitted, but it would have been about a 15-yard gain with contact had Sione been able to really run through defenders. He's been a great running back so far throughout OTAs, and while he's obviously not going to compete with Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, I do think in the absence of one of those two, if one of them gets hurt or if just one of them needs a little bit of a break, I think Sione Vaki could very well carve out a strong role for himself this offseason and potentially be a really good replacement for Craig Reynolds, an upgrade over Craig Reynolds, and a player that the Lions really believe in as the third running back within this running back tandem. Now, taking a look at Hendon Hooker, a player we've just talked about, Hendon Hooker made some big-time throws today. I talked about the big 20-yard, nice touch throw to Sione Vaki on the wheel route, as well as a really nice crossing route. He threw a couple really nice deep balls today with an absolute missile across the middle to Kaden Davis for a 20-yard pickup as well. When he has the time to throw and he reads the field well, he looks phenomenal. But unfortunately, the problems come when the 11-on-11 start. When the pass rush gets on the field, Hendon Hooker's processing time is a little bit slow, which is something that I think a lot of people, including myself, were concerned about as a prospect. At Tennessee, it was a one-read offense. He wasn't asked to read the defense a lot. He wasn't asked to get to that second and third read very often. It was a one-read and tuck-it kind of football system, and Hendon Hooker is taking time to adjust to getting to that second read, getting to that third read, and unfortunately took back-to-back sacks today in 11-on-11 opportunities. But when the ball did get out, it looked really, really good. So, of course, it's going to be a balance there. Hendon Hooker has to get the football out a little quicker, has to process it a little bit. But when the ball is coming out, it looks like a very, very nice football. Taking a look at Giovanni Manu, the other fourth-round pick from the Lions' most recent draft class, Hank Fairley has said that he is very, very impressed with Giovanni Manu so far, saying he's learning a lot, he's developing well, he's on a good trajectory, but Giovanni Manu did make a big mistake at the end of practice. In the 11-on-11 drills, the Detroit Lions offense had it on a 4th-and-1 opportunity to punch it in and continue the drive, and unfortunately, Giovanni Manu did have a false start on 4th-and-1, backing the offense up to 4th-and-6, of course, making the job a little bit harder for the offense. And although I actually couldn't find the results of the next play of that 4th-and-6, obviously that 4th down false start is not something you'd want to see out of a rookie. However, despite that mistake, many coaches are still very optimistic about what Manu can bring to the offense. On the other side, you have Colby Sorsdal, the second-year offensive tackle who, according to Hank Fairley, is taking the right steps moving forward. They're challenging him a lot this offseason to play different positions along the offensive line and be a contributor at every single position possible. He's played 4 out of the 5 offensive line positions throughout OTA, that being left tackle, left guard, and right guard, respectively. He has yet to play the center position. It's something that he probably won't do with 3 undrafted rookie free agent centers already on the roster behind Frank Ragnow and Graham Glasgow. The center position is already very saturated and very filled up, so they probably won't ask Colby to do that. But every other position on the offensive line, whether it be exterior or interior, left or right side of the offensive line, Colby Sorsdal has been asked to do those things. And as of right now, he has played really, really well at a majority of those positions. Colby Sorsdal, of course, making 2 starts a season ago for the Detroit Lions, one against the Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. I thought he played really, really well. I think he has a good potential and a good future in the NFL. but the Lions are challenging him a little bit more this offseason to get some good versatility in his game, to work around the offensive line and be the Band-Aid that they might potentially need down the line if Glasgow or Zeitler gets hurt, right? If potentially Penei Sewell or Taylor Decker miss a couple of games. They want Colby Sorsdal to be a guy that can play all of those positions. And so far this offseason, he seems to be doing a pretty good job. With all of that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below your biggest takeaways from OTAs, what you're most excited to hear about, what you're most concerned potentially to hear about from OTAs as well. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, you probably like the content. So make sure to subscribe, hit the subscribe button if you have not already. We're shooting for that 4,000 subscriber goal coming up here soon. And if you can help us hit it, that would be greatly appreciated by us. But with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.